Welcome to Politics Done Right on KPFT. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Give me a call at 713-526-5738. That is 713-526-KPFT. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for spending this 1 hour with us. We're going to have a great show. Shannon, how art thou doing, my dear friend?
Pretty well.
I know. Are we going to have a show or what?
Heck yes, of course we are.
We always have a show, a great show. Hey, guys, if you're listening here, this is a very, very important show, and I want you to listen in detail because you know what? You're going to have a whole lot of work to do, and they're going to have a lot of work to do.
You believe it? Yeah. I mean, we know what transpired this week regarding the health care. So, where do we go from here? What's going to happen next?
And that is what's important, what's going to happen next. And that is, you know, there are a lot of possibilities. There's a lot of permutations. There are a lot of all these other things that can happen. And what we have to do is make sure that people are prepared, make sure that the different parties are prepared to go. So, look, we're going to have a great show today, folks. Do remember this is a call-in show, 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Look, the current iteration of Trumpcare has failed, but we should remember that Donald Trump has always been an avid supporter of single-payer Medicare for all. In fact, just recently, he reiterated that as well. Democrats would do well to be careful, guys. Trump has no core values. He will turn on a dime, irrespective of what he said in the past or the present. He may do that with health care, which could guarantee him Democratic support, and with that, a second term. I know it sounds crazy, folks. Hi, Marjan Moss. Welcome to Facebook Live, and the others have scrolled away so I can't see them, but welcome aboard. Anyhow, before I begin the program, I want to remind all our listeners that KPFT is a bastion of intelligent voices and programs. As a political activist myself, my favorites are The Monitor with
Mark Vivale. That is every Monday at 7 p.m. I love that guy.
I know, great guy. We have Think Wing Radio with
Mike Koenig every Monday at 9 p.m.
And of course, there's Partisan Gridlock with
Jeff Berg every Friday at 3 p.m.
3 p.m. And then we have Open Journal with
Marlo Blue and Dwayne Bradley, and as well as quite a large team of talented individuals. They are on weekday mornings at 8 a.m.
Absolutely so, absolutely so. And then we have Jazz Latino, Afro-Cuban Latin Jazz at its best, hosted by
Juan Flores. That is every Monday at 10 p.m.
Yes. And then there's A Human Condition at 3 p.m., followed by The Free Minstrel Show with Don and Dwayne at 4 p.m. on Fridays on the KPFT HD3 side. Look, folks, check out our full schedule at kpft.org, where you can find programming from music to politics to medicine to the eclectic. KPFT is listener-supported public community radio station. So please remember that if you like what you hear, visit kpft.org and ensure we remain a strong, viable community station that provides news, programming, and information not influenced by whom? It's not influenced by the corporatocracy. If you notice that little pause I gave there, is that time, guess who usually comes in and say the corporatocracy? Oh, she's back. She can say corporatocracy.
Corporatocracy.
I love to hear that.
Clear from all that.
Free and clear from all of that. Anyhow, folks, this is KPFT 90.1 FM in Houston, Texas. We want to hear your voice. We want to hear your thoughts. This is Politics Done Right. Twitter, go to hashtag Politics Done Right. Twitter name at Egberto Willies. You can listen to the live stream, or you can go to Facebook Live, Politics Done Right with Egberto on Facebook. But folks, do you happen to know what time it is?
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay, a lot of people are going to think I am crazy. But you remember the few times that I said that Trump could possibly be the president of the United States? What happened? When I wrote that at Daily Kos, I was shredded to pieces. When I wrote that on my own blog, people thought I was smoking something more intense than that red juice from Panama. Panama red, marijuana. You know, they thought all these things. You must have been, you're about to say something.
Oh, no, I'm just, I was like, oh, you haven't told me about
the red,
from Panama. I'm like, I really got to know more
the
about
Panama
this.
red. If anybody listening, any stoner that's listening knows something called Panama red, But
Interesting. Okay. Proceed.
I'll proceed. Anyhow, this is it. The title that I gave it is Democrats, Be Careful. Trump may beat you to single-payer Medicare for all. Take this seriously, okay? And it goes as follows. Democrats should not be playing defense right now. A defensive stance does not give the impression to constituents that one's fighting for them. With the demise of Trumpcare and Obamacare under stress in many parts of the country, this is the time for Democrats to come out in full support of a transition to single-payer Medicare for all. Donald Trump is an out-of-the-box politician who may surprise Democrats and pull victory out of defeat of the current iteration of Trumpcare. It would not be surprising if Trump made the following calculus, and this would be Trump talking now. Obamacare is expensive. Republicans have failed to come up with the viable plan, and I ain't no real Republican. I, Trump, will now send to Congress my single-payer Medicare for all scheme. You may not think that is viable, but folks, do not for one moment believe this is an impossibility. First, single-payer Medicare for all is polling very well with most Americans, with every demographic, with every single party. Single-payer is polling very well. President Trump needs to boost his overall poll numbers. Donald Trump voters have a tendency to twist themselves into pretzels to justify whatever change in position he presents. His core voters will be with him. No matter what, we've done some tests. His core voters will be with him, thick or thin. In an attempt to get a win at any cost, Trump recently claimed that single-payer would bankrupt the country, but he has been all over the place on single-payer. As recently as May, he pointed out to the Australian Prime Minister that his single-payer healthcare system was better, meaning that in Australia, than Americans' healthcare system. The American punditry is starting to talk about it seriously. Matthew Dowd, a down-the-middle pundit, could not be clearer about seriously considering single-payer. This is what he wrote. The healthcare system has been broken for more than 20 years, and it was broke before the ACA, Matthew Dowd said. And it's broke after ACA. And this fix, it is like going to a sick patient and giving them experimental treatment, and many experimental treatments to hurt the patient. He's talking about the AHCA, Trumpcare, is going to hurt the patient. To me, no side is fundamentally addressing, and we need to actually ask the question, should we go to a single-payer system because affordability hasn't been fixed by this or ACA and accessibility? Then, that was a guy down the middle. We have now on the conservative side, conservative pundit, Fox News' Charles Krauthammer is even more explicit. He believes America will have single payer sooner than later. This is a Fox News pundit, folks. Fox News pundit. As reported in The Hill, Fox News, quote, Fox News political commentator Charles Krauthammer predicted, and I lost my space here on this thing temporarily. He predicted, Fox News commentator Charles Krauthammer predicted Thursday that healthcare in the U.S. is headed toward a single-payer system. The terms of the healthcare debate are entirely on the grounds of the liberal argument that everybody ought to have insurance. Once that happens, you're going to end up with a single payer, Krauthammer said on Fox News special report with Brett, whoever the guy is. Now, Republicans are not arguing, this is him still speaking here. Republicans are not arguing the free market anymore, he said. They have sort of accepted any commodity. It's not like purchasing a steak or a car. It is something people now have a sense that government ought to guarantee. I would predict that in less than 7 years, we'll be a single-payer system. I think that's the great irony of this. Close quote. Look, it is as if many who would never have taken single-payer seriously are coming to the conclusion that market-based healthcare insurance is untenable. Only a sect within the Republican Party remains who believe their Ayn Randian beliefs should make up the core of our healthcare system. Sick. In recent interviews on several cable news channels, anchors and hosts asked Democrats after Democrat if they would support a single-payer Medicare for all healthcare system, except for those decidedly on the very progressive side. They all refuse to back it. They all refuse to give an answer. They all refuse to say, that is a better system. Folks, Trump has no core, and he can boldly change and rechange his stances on a dime. After the current version of Trumpcare fails, the Donald may start weighing his options. He may figure out that, in fact, he can get a health care bill. It is evident most of his voters will likely stick with him, no matter what he does. So think clearly. If Trump decided to get behind single payer, it would probably force enough Democrats and enough Republicans to come together to pass such a bill guaranteeing Donald Trump a second term and the savior of the United States healthcare system. Imagine that. And before I finish the blog, I just want to tell you how serious I am about that. Whoever institutes single payer, Medicare for all, and get the constant fighting that we have over health care, whoever does that will be the savior of American healthcare. Right now, Barack Obama holds that title for the regular market, for the individual market. He is the savior of the individual market. Whoever comes up with Medicare for all really will be the savior of the American people vis-a-vis their health care, their health being. It's no little thing. So if Democrats decide to continue with their timidity and not come out forcefully for something people know they not only want, but something people need, be aware that the Trump triangulation is not gonna be so far away. And to think that maybe, well, Republicans won't allow that because it goes against their principles. Well, it used to be their principles also that Russia was an enemy. It used to be their principles one time that working and dealing with Russia was treason. It used to be a lot of things. They never supposedly believe in big government. And of course, government has grown larger under Republican control than under Democratic control. Remember these realities. So to end the blog, in other words, just like Donald Trump triangulated Americans in mixing progressive populist ideas as he campaigned, even though he had no intentions of fulfilling them, he may do the same with health care. Democrats must stop playing defense and present a plan Americans want. Provide a narrative that starts the process of immediately improving Obamacare's flaws in the short term. Then create a credible transition plan with the proper narrative of removing an unnecessary middle person that skims portion of our premiums to enrich a few without adding any value to Americans. And one must repeat, that system is single-payer Medicare for all. No ifs, no buts, no excuses, no triangulation. Come out strong ahead and say the only saving grace for American healthcare, bar none. And I will talk about this from a mathematical perspective for anybody who wants to discuss this particular issue. From a mathematical perspective, it is absolute. It is an absolute statement that single payer is more efficient than any other system, mathematically speaking. And math is absolute. Folks, the telephone number is 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Before we go to the caller, we're going to go to weather and traffic. But please, folks, call. The lines are wide open.
Thank you, Egberto. It is 3:15, and we're going to take a brief look at weather around town.
Hey, Robert. How you doing?
In 96, with Houston humidity around 40%, it feels like 104 out there. Small possibility of
Let's see. I
isolated
think you had a
thunderstorms
question there. Let's see if I have what
these
that question
storms may
is.
contain strong gusty winds. Low tonight of 79.
Are you going to discuss
and a
Ryan
mixture of
Strickland, the
clouds and
bipartisan
sunshine in the
revocation
forecast
use
for
of force
Friday.
law?
20% chance of rain. High near 95.
Maybe you should call in with that because I'm not
Index
aware of
will
that
range
particular
between
issue.
103
I know there was
and
something about
107, so
getting rid of
expect a
class
scorcher.
actions, but you may want to call and tell the folks about that.
On the South Sam Houston Tollway,
That is
westbound at
you,
the
Robert
Southwest
Mark.
Plaza, there's a disabled vehicle affecting the right lane there. Accident cleared from the right lane of the South Loop eastbound at Alameda. Traffic remains backed up to Stella Lane.
Facebook Live.
And traffic's beginning to back up on the Southwest Freeway inbound from Westland up to 45. And a little delay on the West Loop in both directions.
If any of you are calling,
between
Shannon's going to
59
answer those
and
phones in a
10.
minute, so keep them
And,
ringing, and if
slow
it rolls
going in
around,
a
just
few areas
continue
around
calling. And
town,
folks that
including
are
on the
on
North
Facebook
Freeway
Live, if you want to
inbound
actually
from
get on
west
air
to
here in Houston
Cavalcade,
and throughout the country,
and on the North
just
Freeway
call
outbound from Telephone out to Tupelo, expect
713-526-5738. Again, that
That's
number
your
is
afternoon and your Houston weather. I'm Shannon McCurdy,
713-526-5738.
and you're listening to KPFT Houston 90.1. Politics Done Right with Egberto Willies.
Muchísimas gracias, hermana. Okay, let's go to line number 1. Come on in, Scott. Talk to me.
Thank you. You know why I am not excited about sending Donald Trump to prison?
Yes, because more than likely the guy that comes after him is a guy named Pence.
Well, I was thinking about something else. Your country has the highest rate of incarceration of any country in the world.
Yes.
I just bought a book
Yes.
by a Professor James Braxton Peterson entitled Prison Industrial Complex for Beginners. Yes, I believe that this has been an issue for the last 30 years, all the time, and it's an elephant in the living room for a lot of people, especially Democrats.
Right.
Yeah, you know, the House recently passed a draconian bill against sexting by teenagers.
Yes.
Yes, it's atrocious.
Well, you know, what it does is it criminalizes things that the youth do anyway, right? And not only that, very few of them are actually caught, but they're what you have to remember that these guys are the raw material for prisons, right? They are the raw material for prisons to allow a few people to make a few bucks. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add, my dear Scott?
Well, we need to build up a constituency that is wants to shrink the criminal justice industry.
You know, we were going to do that, and in fact, President Obama started that process on the federal level. He can't do much on the state level at all.
Yeah.
But that said, this is something that the people in the communities are going to have to do, because in effect, when you are filling prisons up with prisoners, we are the ones that are paying for it, and in effect, it's a method of transferring our wealth from the individual taxpayer to a few businesses or to the few shareholders of these particular corporations who run prisons. So it is a mess. It is a complete disaster, and it is terrible for society at large.
Yeah, and I call into KPFT programs and remind people.
Yes.
Keep reminding them.
Yes, sir, and I appreciate you for calling in and reminding them. So you have a wonderful day, my friend, and thank you very much for calling, Scott.
Thank you.
You have a wonderful day. Let's go to Línea número 2, line number 2. James, come on in, James.
Hi, I was listening about the Medicare, and I think that everybody should have Medicare. It should be a single payer, and I think it can be done
Yes.
if they don't cap the Medicare withholding tax.
You know, you're a very smart person, and here's the problem. A lot of people don't understand that, and I'm glad that you brought that topic up because it's important. Everybody pay, and in fact, I don't want them to cap either Medicare tax or Social Security tax.
Exactly.
Anybody who is telling you that Social Security is insolvent or Medicare, Medicaid is insolvent, they are lying to you. And I want to make one correction about what you said. The Medicaid taxes, right? Or not Medicaid, the Medicare taxes on capital gains or on these different items, they don't have a max, okay? It progressive, no matter how much you make, it'll be, I think, 3% of whatever you make. That is a fixed cost. So that doesn't change. It is on Social Security that stops, that it's capped at, I think, 104 or 100
or whatever, yeah.
something. But what we need is, all of this is a pool of money, right? It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter at all. The reality of the matter is, we want all monies for social services coming out of the general fund. It's the most efficient way to do it. All the partitioning that is done is to enrich a few people through the machination and the management of these different programs. If we simply had these programs as coming out of general revenue and accounting for every issue, there would not be a problem. Remember, chaos is profitable for the few.
Right.
Okay, anything else you want to add, my friend?
Well, I was thinking about Trump, and I was, he's such a joke, and everybody's so embarrassed about it, but the economy is doing so well that I'm thinking he might even get reelected.
Let me tell you about the economy. You're correct that the economy is doing well, but the economy is doing well on paper. In other words, wages are not up. In other words, people are still, the top 400 people still control the wealth of the half of the world population. So it's if I make $10,000 a month and you make $1,000 a month, or you make $2,000 a month, our combined income is $6,000 a month. That looks very good. It looks like, wow, Americans are doing well. Look, on a per capita basis, they're making $6,000 per capita. Each person makes $6,000. But you're struggling to live on $2,000 while I'm living happy on $10,000 a month. So that is what's occurring in our current economy today. And what we have to be able to do, James, is document that for people, because there are a lot of people having a hard time, right? The problem is, most of the middle class, the working middle class in this country, suffer in silence for two reasons. Reason number one is that they're embarrassed. And reason number two is they think they can't do anything about it. What we are here for, what the KPFTs of the world are here for, is to tell folks, no, that can change, and yes, you can make a difference. Thank you so kindly for calling, my friend.
Yes, sir.
You keep listening, keep calling. Please tell people about this station that's talking these kind of issues, okay?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay, let's go to línea número 3. Let's go to number William. Come on in, William.
Hello, Egberto.
Talk to me, my friend.
Hey, I agree with everything you're talking about with that idiot Don.
Uh-huh.
And we don't have to go any further with that.
Okay.
And I'm talking about, okay, look, you guys have some serious issues here at the radio station, which, I've talked to Dwayne, once he announced that he was retiring and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really concerned. I told him, I said, if it wasn't for him, this would not be a radio station anymore.
Okay.
And he said, he deferred. He said, yeah, but you know what? Things change. And no, he knows, he knows what you know and what I know, right?
Okay.
And, but I'm kind of peeved about how shabby I have been treated personally, and I send you folks $30 a month.
Well, William, let me first thank you for...
No, let me interject here.
Okay, go ahead, but make it quick because I have a full line, my friend.
Yeah, you let people drone on for 10 minutes. You cut me off after 45 seconds.
I apologize, but I just...
No, but don't even apologize. Let me talk for a minute here.
But wait a second, William. William, hold on a second. First of all, I have an issue that I want to talk about today. The issue today wasn't about problems...
I already agreed with you.
Okay, I understand, but let me...
I have an issue
William, my dear friend, hold on. Let me speak, then you can speak. William, hold on. I'll let you speak, but you let me speak. It is my program, sir. Thank you. Now, here's the deal, William. I want to discuss healthcare, and most of the people that are listening to the station here are calling in for what I placed on the website that the subject about was going to be about. It's not that I don't look at these issues as important issues that you're talking about. I'll give you 1 minute to talk about this issue, but I really want to get back to healthcare, my friend. So please
go.
go.
All I want to do is talk about for 1 minute.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, they had a program on, I don't remember what it was. It was about mental health.
Yes.
They had a psychiatrist on. It was talking about suicide, and they had a person there that, was a patient
Yes.
of theirs. And this psychiatrist knew about what I was starting to talk about, and then they cut me off. Now, I know 3 people committed suicide that got messed with by the same people that were messing with me. And the same people that were messing with me big time were messing with O.J. Simpson.
Okay.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg, and you know that.
All right. Now, William, thank you. And let me tell you, I am not cutting you off for anything other than I gave you 60 minutes.
Off unless somebody has the guts to interview me.
Okay, I tell you what. You know how to reach me. We'll talk later.
I don't know how to reach you because I don't do the internet. I don't. Look,
Okay.
I have tried to get your number. I've had people that were, volunteers, act like they were you, and I would give them my phone number, and they would call me up late at night and make fun of me.
Oh, William,
and
I'm
act
not.
like they were you.
I am not going to make fun of you.
I understand that.
Now stop, William. Stop. You go ahead and you give your telephone number to
Everybody
Shannon.
knows my phone number at KPFT.
I just asked you to do some,
I send them $30
sir.
a month with my phone number.
Okay.
I sent you a Christmas card with my phone
Thank
number.
you, sir. Do me a favor. Give Shannon your number. I will call you. Okay? You have a wonderful day, but I will call you. She'll put you on hold and take your number, and I gotta go to line number 5. Come on in, Chris.
Berta, let's take a deep breath.
Yes, sir. How you doing, Chris?
And hey, I wanted to touch on your blog topic, but also someone brought up wage stagnation, so that's an issue.
Yes.
If Clinton had gotten elected, it would have killed our chance for single payer.
Okay.
Because our choice is either Obamacare or single payer, and the Democrats would have never admitted it, being wrong or going against Obama's legacy. We would have never had a chance to get single payer. So that's a silver lining of Trump being elected is if he does alter it in any way, then the Democrats in the future will have no problem killing Trumpcare and bringing us single payer.
Okay.
But also, I agree with your point that he might pivot and give us single payer health care. But what we have to push is the angle that it's good for small businesses and entrepreneurs because in Germany, it's way easier to start a business.
Right.
Because of their healthcare system.
It's so true because they don't have, look, Chris, what happens in other countries is they don't have the responsibility for the difficulty that you have in managing healthcare while you try to manage what your business is actually doing. So you're so right about that.
It's too much overhead for a small business person. And it's really just a competitive advantage for big corporations.
Absolutely.
Also about wage stagnation, it looks like wages are starting to creep up.
Yes, it went up, I think, 1% in the last few quarter or something like that.
And on the left, we can't have this position or this double think that open borders is good, unlimited labor supply is good, but wage stagnation is bad. There's a cause and effect there that we're ignoring.
What you're saying is an important thing that can be mitigated, right? And let me give an example of that right now. Right now, what we have is, let's say the migrant worker that's coming over, that what we've seen with what Trump has done is that the migrant worker has stayed home. And now our farmers are realizing that in reality, these people weren't, this particular group of folks weren't taking jobs from Americans. That's different from the HB1 visas, which are bringing these visas are bringing in professionals to take over jobs at a lower wage than able-bodied professional Americans can take. As an example, Microsoft and these other big companies love to bring Look, I have a software company. At some time, I was getting calls on the order of 1, 2, 3, 4 times a week with people saying, hey, we can do your software development for $15 an hour, $10 an hour, $30 an hour. That is where it's at. But what happens is you won't hear Trump talk about that. They want to make it the otherizing of the migrant worker coming from the South.
One of his campaign platforms was addressing the H-1B visa program.
Right, but let me correct that. You're correct. Let me just come back with that, Chris, because you're correct. You're correct on that. However, remember, talk is one thing and action is the other. Remember that he has just asked for 20-something thousand more H-1B visas for people who work in the hotel industries and other industries for which he has his hand in. So what I'm saying, we have to be frank about that.
H-1B or H-2B?
H2, I don't remember which. I may be calling the wrong number.
We can't have these programs like H-2B where we're using it for the shrimping industry.
Right.
To provide them laborers when we have such high unemployment rates in the inner city.
Look,
it's double think.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. I mean, you and I, we're not disagreeing, and I think the difference here is you're able to put it into a manner that isn't xenophobic. We have to make sure that this is not done in a xenophobic manner, because we do need immigrants for certain jobs. We do need it because it just doesn't happen. That's the reality. That's why the farmers are now begging Trump to change his policy.
That's
go ahead.
why those farmers should actually pay a decent wage and make sure that their workers don't get polluted with pesticides.
You're right.
People right.
You're right to this extent.
It causes those market pressures where businesses actually have to recruit and retain people instead of just throwing them away, using them up and throwing them away.
You made an interest.
The main reason why I called Egberto.
Yes, sir.
I want to announce the draft Egberto for station manager movement.
Not a chance.
You have the numbers game. You can break things down logically.
Brother.
Do the math.
Brother.
Your kid is grown now, so you got a little bit more free time.
My brother.
So I'm going to prevent your empty nest syndrome here.
Look.
And also, you're immune to any false accusations of racism. And you can get things done.
Brother, let me tell you something, okay? First of all, thank you for that vote of confidence. But let me tell you, I think an Egberto at this station right now is much better as a peacemaker and bringing people together, okay? And there are a lot of us out here that want to do that. And I think there are very good people that are much more qualified to be a radio station manager. And we are ultimately going to get there. And let me tell, for all those people that are listening that have read issues in the Chronicle and read issues otherwhere and in other places, that all stations and all these institutions have growing pains, because this one is one of those volunteer-based organizations. It is more pronounced, but because in a paid corporation, it wouldn't be allowed for people to do these things or speak out as they will. We are a democracy here. We fight among each other, but ultimately we are here to do the progressive work. So, Chris, thank you very much for calling. You're a good man, and keep the thoughts that you have. Okay, my brother?
Do it, Egberto.
Thank you, my brother. Have a good one. All right, let's go to line number 4. John, come on in, John.
Good afternoon, Egberto. How you doing?
I know you think I'm crazy, John. I'm just waiting to hear it now.
Okay, the first thing I want to do is just factually disagree with the one guy who said that there was a Medicare limit on taxes.
Oh, no, we did speak about that. I corrected it.
No, but he said there was one. There isn't.
I corrected that. It's on Medicare doesn't have the limit. It's Social Security that has the limit.
Okay. I guess I didn't hear that.
Yeah, we corrected that.
The second thing is from the last caller. I totally disagree that if Clinton was elected, we'd be closer to we'd be let farther away from single payer. Totally agree. That's like Susan Sarandon, thinking. And what's gonna? I mean, I'm really glad that this has been stopped. But I mean, like we've talked about through the year. I mean, through the last few months.
Yes, sir.
Sabotage is happening.
Yes.
And Trump is sabotaging everything. So I mean, you have to think about. How are people going to be affected in the short term? And in the short term, if Clinton would have been elected, things would have been, pretty good for people on the ACA. It definitely wouldn't have been sabotage. It wouldn't have been bad. Yes, hopefully it could have been improved if they had won the House and the Senate, but I mean, that wasn't meant to be. But my point is that I just disagree with all this.
John,
Clinton was elected.
Let me
be closer to.
I actually agree with
single payer.
I actually agree. Let me stop you a second, John, and let me tell you why I agree with Chris in this regard. And it's not a bad. This wasn't what Chris says wasn't something to really hit on Hillary specifically. It was more a hit on the Democratic Party. And what I mean is as follows. And I think we've spoken about this before, and I think, to put it bluntly, I think you kind of agree with this. Here's the issue. Obamacare is this huge compromise, right? And a compromise that everybody knows ultimately has to fail. And I agree with the numbers game as far as it having to fail just because of how the risk market work and how the risk channels are going away. There are a lot of issues within Obamacare that made it a stopgap measure. And in fact, I've written several blogs in which I said Obamacare is really the pathway to single payer. My problem is that many of the established Democratic leaders are currently so indebted to the people that are to the insurance companies and the drug companies. I mean, look at the West Virginia senator's daughter, who was a part of the EpiPen fiasco. They are such a part of this system that much doesn't get changed. So Chris, I think, is absolutely right in the respect that if Hillary had gotten elected, Obamacare would have gotten a whole lot of fixes to make things better, but the prices would still have been higher because we are here to fund insurance companies. We are here to fund drug companies, and we would not have gotten the efficiencies out of the system that we could have gotten out of single payer. And to date, you look at all the interviews that we've had with Democrats on TV right now, and you still see that no one of them, other than the progressive side, would commit to single payer.
Well,
Go ahead, John.
77 in the House have committed
yes.
to it.
So, yes.
So, I mean, that's just in the last year, there have been a lot of them
yes.
that have committed. And
yes.
I'm also an advocate of single payer.
I know you are.
I'm also realistic.
I know you are.
The fact is that single payer is, very expensive. It's going to raise taxes quite a bit. This is just the facts. I want single payer, but this is the facts. That is a third rail item for conservatives, and that's what they'll be talking about all the time.
John.
I'm just trying to
I
say,
got it, brother.
That people, all they do is talk about all the great things. They very rarely talk about the cost.
John.
They also don't talk about how these other countries pay for single payer. It's the fact that they have value-added taxes.
Yes.
And basically, we could do the same thing. Vermont could have done the
yes.
same thing. We chose not to.
John,
we have to accept those taxes.
John, you say this a lot, and I wish you wouldn't say it. When you come out and say it's gonna be more expensive, or it's gonna be costing more, or whatever. Here is it.
Well, it is. I mean, there's absolutely no doubt about it. There's no doubt also that Bernie Sanders, I mean, as much as I'm a Sanders supporter, the reason he didn't come out with this plan is the exact reason that I talked about.
And let me explain something to you first of all. All right? Let's forget about the individual taxes for now. And I try to explain this before. If America is paying more than twice the next country for health care, if that's what we're doing right now, and if it is also true that insurance companies have up to a 20% premium on what you pay into your premiums, etc., etc. If all of those numbers are true, which they are, it means that if you eliminate the 20% surcharge on health insurance, if you negotiate all drugs that you can't have the $900 EpiPen, if all of that is true, then in the aggregate, the total amount spent in healthcare will be reduced. The issue at hand is who pays, how they pay. That is really the issue. So when you say healthcare it's gonna cost a whole lot, well, you know what? If I am paying $1,000 a month for health insurance, and instead I'm paying $1,000 a month more in taxes, which it would be less actually, but if that were the case, it means that I am saving. And what I'm saying is, if we allow the right if we adopt the language of the right, that single payer is going to be expensive, then that is what people are going to perceive.
can I make my point? I'm
Yes.
not adapting the language of the right. I'm being realistic. I'm being totally realistic, and most people on the left aren't being realistic. And that's why Vermont passed a single payer, and the governor of Vermont, after talking with medical experts, basically was told that they would have to, the state tax would be increased by 11%.
Yes.
And the individual sales tax would increase by 9%.
But you're
That is
missing the-
comparable to
but-
VAT taxes.
But
They didn't want to do it because they felt that the political will wasn't strong. Eventually, hopefully it will happen.
But John, you're missing the most important point of my argument. I'm trying to ask you to see what I'm saying. And it's important because that person who's going to pay that extra VAT if they chose to do it via VAT, or that person who's going to pay the proportional increase in their income tax, they will no longer have an insurance to pay. So in other words,
but what you say that it's not going to be as expensive, it'll be less expensive
Yes.
for people who are poor.
Yes.
It'll be more expensive for people who are wealthy. I mean,
Yes.
yes. I mean,
Agreed.
that
Agreed.
is the truth. I mean, if you just look at the countries who have that, look at their tax burden, and that is the case.
Right. I agree.
There's no doubt about
But
it.
what I'm saying is right now, that's why I said it depends on how that money is divided. And I agree with that. I want it to be progressive. I want the wealthy who doesn't have to pay all that taxes to pay a hell of a lot more for the country, because the well-being of every individual American is what keeps this country afloat. We cannot let people be commodities. I got to go because my lines are completely full, John, but we have to continue this discussion because I think we have to think through a different paradigm, and it's so important. So we'll keep talking about this, my brother, okay?
All right, thank you.
All right, great. Let's go to Gary, line number 1. Come on in, Gary. Gary, you're line number 1. Line number 1, Gary.
Sure.
Yes, come on in. I can hear you now.
Well, I wanted to point something out.
Yes.
But after the last 45 minutes, I'm not sure it's relevant anymore. I wanted to say that I believe progressives and Democrats have really missed an opportunity to really damage the Republican Party and possibly come back in power. And that is, have you heard about the decision by the Supreme Court that the state of Texas has got to provide air conditioning for inmates?
Yeah.
It's inhumane to let people suffer, and just because the law was written,
Yeah.
air conditioning was invented, okay? And then we have the whole Medicaid situation where people are even saying, well, that is mean. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. Now, a lot of the supporters of the Republicans are what you would call Christians, especially the very right-wing and fundamentalist Christians. And somebody should take the opportunity to point out that making decisions that hurt the poor and the least among us is about as unchristian as you can be.
Right.
How can you claim to be a Christian when you support people that do the exact opposite of what Jesus, their hero, taught?
Let me tell you,
Somebody ought to
Gary,
take
I
that
want to
bull
interrupt
by
you.
the horn.
I want to interrupt you, and I'm going to tell you why. Because for the most part, the Democrats that are speaking on TV, for the most part, the Democrats that are speaking everywhere are pretty much timid twits. I hate to put it that way, but let me tell you why I'm saying it that way. What you just said is so powerful, right? If you are going to a fight, if you're going to be truthful, if you're going to be out there saying, this is what we stand for, and you are going to also make the distinctions between you, and you can be very civil about this, right? You know what? I believe in civility. You can go out there and say, if I am opposite a right winger on TV, and they said people need to get out there and do XYZ, and you can't ask the individual to do that. I would right there in the middle of TV says, you are a Jesus person. What would Jesus do? And shut that person up immediately. But the problem is as follows. And I read an article that one of my good friends placed on my site, is that a lot of progressives simply don't know how to fight. Because a lot of progressives are humanists, and they like to create separations of church and state. They feel it's off limits to bring those realities. I know the Bible very well. And in my discussions, when it talks about those issues, I'm going to bring them up. Some of the most evil people that we have right now do it under the Christian mantra. And it's not the Christian religion that's bad. It is the people who are interpreting that religion that's horrendous. And we allow them to get away with it. And in the process, what we have done is allowed a hateful, selfish group of people to be created, because that's how their leaders are.
Well, that's my entire point. I am not religious.
Right, exactly.
I don't believe in magic, and I don't believe in ghosts, but I believe in Jesus. You know about the Jeffersonian Bible, right?
Yes.
Where Jefferson cut out everything that Jesus ever said, left all the magic and supernatural stuff out.
And it was a great book. Yes.
But listen.
Yes.
People, you don't have to believe in reincarnation to believe what Buddha said. And you don't have to believe that people grow wings when they die to believe what Jesus said. But there is a fact called hypocrisy.
Right.
And you cannot support Jesus and then say, well, let the poor die and let the least among us suffer.
Gary?
That's not Christian. And it's because the Democrats and the progressives don't have the courage to stand up and say, well, are you a Christian? Yeah. So you want to get rid of Medicaid? Is that your plan, to let the poor suffer? Did you ever turn over the money changer tables on Wall Street? You get my point?
Yes, sir. You're absolutely right.
Take advantage of this
Brother.
hypocrisy if you ever want to get rid of the Republicans.
Brother.
Trump's taking care of the Republicans for us anyway, so fare thee well.
Thank you very much, my brother. You have a good one, okay?
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Okay, we're going to take a short break really quick and look at our Houston area weather. It is partly cloudy and 96 degrees. It feels like 106 out there at the moment. There's a small possibility of isolated thunderstorms moving through the area this afternoon, and some of these storms may be contain strong gusty wind. Low tonight of 79 and a mixture of clouds and sunshine in the forecast for tomorrow. Just a small chance of rain. High near 95 and expect a heat index around 105 tomorrow. And let's take a brief look at our roadways. On the West Loop northbound, there's a few accidents. One at Post Oak affecting the center lane to right shoulder. That's northbound traffic. And down the road at West 18th Street, there's an accident also affecting the center lane to right shoulder, backing up traffic to Evergreen. And on the West Park Tollway outbound, right after Beltway 8, there's an accident affecting the right shoulder there. And a stop and go on the North Freeway inbound from west over to Tidwell, and a few slow-going areas around town, including on the Southwest Freeway outbound from Shepherd out to Chimney Rock. And it's starting to back up a bit on the Katy Freeway outbound from Antoine out to Kirkwood, and a little slow-going traffic on the North Freeway outbound from Telephone out to Little York. That's Look Your Afternoon Commute. I'm Shannon McCurchie, and you're listening to KPFT Houston 90.1. Back to you, Egberto.
Muchísimas gracias, Shannon. Okay, let's go to line number 2 with Stu. Come on in, Stu.
Hey, Egberto, how you doing, man?
I'm doing fine. Talk to me, my brother.
Listen, just some empirical evidence. I happen to be in the hospital right now. I had to go to the emergency room on Tuesday. I have an ulcer.
Yes, sir.
And I'm 66 years old. I have Medicare, and I have a Medicare supplement through Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Mm-hmm.
I pay absolutely no premium at all.
Right.
It cost me $75 to check into the hospital.
Yes.
And the last time this happened to me, I got some bills for about maybe totaling about $1,500 when the entire stay was in the tens of thousands of dollars.
Absolutely.
And now I got my insurance through the exchange. And I didn't ask any questions. I've heard some terrible stories about how expensive it is, but I'm just telling people that's how it is with me.
Let me tell you, Stu, first of all, thank you for calling in with that testimony because, a lot of people have your experience, some don't. And the thing about it is there are some people that are subsidized, other people that are not subsidized, and the level of subsidization changes depending on it's complicated. But what I try to make this program about today was to show that, look, everybody should have your experience, and we can make it that everybody has your experience if we would just go ahead and arrange our policies in such a manner that we have Medicare for all. And that,
well, I'll tell you what, my daughter lives in Paris.
Oh yeah, she loves it.
And everybody gets a little card, and they go wherever they want.
Yes.
So whatever's wrong with it. The doctors get paid through a single payer within 3 days.
Right.
And their taxes are very comparable to ours, and you do not see a wave of humanity jumping out of France. I'll tell you that right now.
Let me tell you, Stu, the truth of the matter is I saw, I think it was on Sicko, if I remember correctly, or it was on the latest one that Michael Moore did, where a French couple wanted to move to the United States, and then they found out that, well, in the United States, they don't get 4 or 6 weeks vacation a year. Oh, in the United States, they'll have to pay severe health insurance charges. Oh, in the United States, and suddenly they're like, why do I want to move there for?
And you ain't going to find any fusses either.
And then you're not going to get a job that's going to pay you a living wage unless you are a particular type of professional. And what's bad about that is our level of of what can be not outsourced is dropping. I mean, think about this. I love to use the radiologist example, right?
I'm going to listen to you on the air. They're going to go ahead and cut off my leg now.
Oh, look, you take care, Stu, and make sure that you take care of yourself. Okay, my friend?
All right, will do. Bye-bye.
Take care, buddy. Anyhow, you take a look at what happens in let me finish what I was going to tell Stu before I go to Johnny. You look at what goes on is, I forgot my train of thought. So let's go ahead and go to line number 6, Johnny. Come on in, Johnny.
I'm glad Stu called in today. We need more people like Stu calling in to provide testimony of the reality.
Absolutely,
of what
sir.
we have here and what we don't have here. With all due respect to John earlier. And as for Gary, the only time I disagree with him is when he brings up this hyphenated American stuff that he's against. I really love it when he expresses the sentiment about the hypocrisy of Christians in this country, the nation of hypocrites denying their immigrants.
Right.
Good for Gary.
Gary was on point today. So Gary, more than one person talking about you being on point, my brother. Anyway, let me hear what you want to talk about.
Every day he calls in, except when he talks about hyphenated.
Yes,
Americans.
yes.
He's got this thing that because I see myself as Italian American, that I'm a lesser American, which couldn't be further from the truth. I criticize a lot. That's because I love.
Yes, I hear you, brother. Talk to me. Anyway, let me hear your correction about Trumpcare.
I could hear all of James's comments, so maybe you can remember. Was he being sarcastic, or was he a real Trump supporter when he was predicting that Trump was going to be reelected because the economy supposedly is doing so swell right now?
No. What he was doing is just quoting a reality that happens, and that is if the economy is doing very well under, let's say Trump remains in office at the end of this term, the end of this current term, and let's say the economy is going gangbusters, right? Then there's a very good likelihood he will get reelected. My contention is the same. My contention is that the Democrats are playing such a terrible game that there are a lot of different reasons why Trump could actually get reelected, and not only get reelected, but this time get reelected not with a minority of the vote, but the majority of the vote. And I wish Americans would start, and specifically progressive, would start seeing things not through progressive eyes, but through the eyes of the average American citizen that is just out there trying to go out there and work and make a buck. So, there are a lot of things that we have to be cognizant of, in my humble opinion, that, look, Trump is, we look at Trump as being some great mystique, right? Trump is not a big mystique. What Trump is a lot of Americans saying, nothing has worked so far, what the heck? Let me just do something else.
Trump is a racist.
Yes, he is.
He doesn't really know what he's talking about.
Yes,
he talks through his hat
yes.
all the time, and that's who he is.
Yes.
And for people, including my family, who I'm ashamed to say voted for him, I hate to say this, but my family, some of them are ignorant, and some of them are outright racists. That doesn't change the fact that the economy is not doing well right now. It's got nothing to do with who's in office. And by the way, Republicans love to cite the stock market, how the stock market is doing so well.
Yeah.
Well, it was at an all-time high under Obama.
Yes,
but
yes.
I don't measure the economy based on that. I go by what I'm doing and what my people in my circle are doing. That's my measuring stick. It's not how the rich people in River Oaks are doing.
Look, let me tell you, Johnny, that what you're saying is not incorrect. What I'm trying to say is, perception is everything, and what these people are masters of is perception. Just like they tell you there are a lot of cold jobs that are out there, there are not a whole lot of cold jobs out there. Just like he said he brought on 50 million cold jobs, 50,000 cold jobs. It's not true. But the truth of the matter is the only people who know it's not true is the coal miners. And guess who's talking to the coal miners? Nobody. You see, so I mean, you have it's all about smoke and mirrors. But Johnny, I only have 2 minutes left, and I have to run to the last call, MOD. Okay, my brother?
Yeah, it's just another example of Democrats dropping the ball.
You got it?
Again.
Yes.
Green Party, where are you guys?
All right, take it easy, Johnny. Thank you for calling, my brother. All right, MOD, come on in.
Hey, I like to talk facts, but we are as far as any other developed country in the world.
Yes.
We pay 500% more.
Yes.
For our health care. We're 42nd in the world in infant mortality.
Can you believe that?
So try to make sense out of that. And in the Republic's economic environment of deregulation, both prison and health care, you're on the spot with the percentage of surcharging a company. It's not meant to work, but it's meant to run its course and then implode, I think. There's no, American health, ACA, whatever, that's not going to work. When you have Democrats like Dianne Feinstein, going to lobbyist rallies and conventions and publicly announcing, no need for single payers. So we're arguing, on a platform of, I'd say falsehoods, but
30 seconds left.
There's no fixing this.
Okay.
It's going to have to have a hard level reset, I think.
MOD, I can't disagree with you at all, but we are at a hard stop, so thank you so kindly for calling, my friend. You keep listening, you keep calling, you keep telling people about KPFT, brother. All right. Thank you, sir. Hey, folks, this has been another edition of Politics Done Right. I thank you so kindly for spending this time with us. Folks, remember, we talk about issues, but you go out there and we are going to fight for these issues that concerns every American citizen. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right. Adios!
Thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willis. You can personally reach me by sending an email to egberto@politicsdoneright.com. Remember, Egberto is spelled EGBERTO. Change starts with you. 90.1 KPFT gives you information not tainted by corporate interest. Please visit kpft.org and contribute. Let's ensure continued access to real information and news remain available to all. Again, thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right.